I was watching some videos, and it was because I started again watching videos from, like, I never really stopped, but for a while I was like not watching almost any. But I started again watching way more videos about manifesting, just because I like to hear different people's opinions. And a lot of times I like when I'm like 90%, I'm like, okay, I know this. And then there's like 10% of like, ooh, that's a good little adjustment. That's a good little thing to do. Like, that's a great little mental adjustment or technique, or something that I forgot that I need to be reminded of. And and also it's sometimes inspiration for things like these, where it was like three different videos I watched, all had what I saw as an incomplete and slightly incorrect answer to this question. And the question is simply, why don't circumstances matter? Because there's a common refrain in amongst people who talk about the law of assumption, that circumstances don't matter, circumstances do not matter. Sometimes it's contracted, sometimes it's not. And anyway, the point of that is that whatever's going on currently in your life experience, in your exterior world, 3D, people, so many different people call it so many different things. But in other words, the screen of space out here, this, the lowest reality. Whatever's going on out here and the details and circumstances of that, they don't matter compared to your imagination. And all of that can adjust once you've imagined for something different. And there is a reason why circumstances don't matter. It's very simple, very straightforward. So I'm surprised that nobody got this right. And it's because you created them. So everything in your world is your outpicturing, is your projection. Now you may say that, okay, well, I never imagined that. Okay, like, number one, you probably just forgot. So you may just forgot. So you're not lying intentionally, but you forgot. Okay, because that's a part of how this reality operates, is that you're gonna forget. You don't have infinite memory, but the God within you, your true self, does. So you just forgot. Um, Alternatively, it may not have been something specific that you thought or visualized or intended to occur, whatever. However, the state of consciousness that you were in at the time that started gestating is what is showing, is what's being revealed, or your current state of consciousness. So even though it's not a specific thing, it is something that goes along with the state that created it. And if you're really truly aware of your thoughts, your states, and you have a decent memory of them, you can look at them and know your own harvest and be real with yourself and go, yeah, well, I didn't specifically plan that, but yeah, that's something I would do. Um, Now, of course, the saving grace to salvation here is that it's your creation. It is, it is you. It is something you did, even though you may have forgot, and even though you may want to disclaim responsibility for it now, because of course you're in a new state of consciousness, so you don't feel connected to it anymore. You don't wish to experience it anymore, whether it's unpleasant or it's just not in sync with who you are now. Something about it is a little bit, not desirable, and that can be adjusted, that can be changed, because you created it anyway. So you can, of course, create something new and different that is would replace what you're currently experiencing. Now, when I use the word creation, I am keeping in mind, and I don't think we've actually read it on the channel yet. Neville's idea that creation is finished. So, in other words, you're never really creating anything. You're simply selecting from what's already present in eternity, in the eternal body of imagination. So you're never making anything new, actually. You're just selecting things. And so the current circumstances that you're experiencing are something you selected prior, and now you have infinite freedom to select something different, that can replace it or complement it in a way that would make it enjoyable, however you want to approach it. So that's why circumstances don't matter. They're your creation. There's literally what you made. Nothing is permanent on this level. On the level of imagination, everything is eternal. On this level, which is actually the lowest level, everything has waxes and wanes. It has periods of seeming birth and seeming death, and that's because everything here is actually already dead. That topic is going to be explored in today's lecture, and this is a nice segue into the other thing I wanted to share. So today's topic, we're going to be talking about dreams. Now, in the sort of scheme of reality, and this is partially this was my belief prior to finding Neville, but Neville throughout so many lectures reconfirms it, that essentially the hierarchy of reality in terms of its expressive power is like the top being imagination slash God slash the festival of infinite hands, or the ocean of boundless golden liquid light. That's the true reality. And then below that you have, well, I kind of segment this out, but vision, dreams, and then dreams. Visions or dreams, vision, dreams, then dreams, and then this reality, which is the absolute lowest reality. This is, as Neville calls it, the limit of contraction. This is the extent to which God will contract his infinite power and constrain his infinite power. So because it is constrained on this level, things have this appearance of coming in and coming out and having a period of time expression. And so you can unmake and remake things all the time, however you please. So it's actually an advantage because, you could on the level of vision where you're not able to just leave that level and come back here or go into a dream or whatever, you could get stuck in a vision for actual eternity. Your consciousness could. That's a little more nuanced than I wanted to explain right away, but basically I had a dream. It was either Monday or Tuesday. It might have been Sunday. It was recently. It was recent enough that I was like, wow, this is going to connect so well with this lecture. So, I mean, there was a lot of dreams, but at one point in the dream, I was literally told everything is bones and dust. And I was shown literally what's meant by that. And I was shown that everything here is actually dead, and that your imagination magically animates it all the time, nonstop. And I was shown how it's done. And then I was additionally told, if you want to be rich, all you have to do is gather some collectible dust and sell it, because everyone's asleep and they don't know it's just dust. Now that has that second sentence we're not gonna go too much into, because then we're gonna start talking about collectible dust, and nobody needs to talk about that. I got plenty of collectible dust on my bookshelf that I need to deal with instead of exploring all the various types of collectible dust one could sell to the sleepers. But the main point of that, and it was clearly something I would need to be told, is that everything here is bones and dust. It's not alive. It's never been alive. God died to become you because you're dead. And I don't mean that in the sense of this is hell or anything like that. It's just a way that the reality was set up so that you could recreate it all the time. Because on the level of imagination, it has eternal life, right? So it's never born, it never dies, it's eternal. But on this level, it can wax and wane. So you can actually experiment with different experiences however you please. And, there is this issue of, well, sometimes there's a time lag. Sometimes things take longer than we want them to. And I think a lot of that is just so you get a true clarity of vision. I would like more clarity myself on why sometimes there seems to be a long time for something to finally express. Like, what is dictating the timelines of that? But we are going to do a little bit more on time, well, a lot more on time in the future, because Neville says that time is simply a frame for changes in states, for changes in your experience. So time is just a tool for you to see how you can change any given circumstance, right? So I hope that makes sense, and I'm actually surprised I connected that a little bit better than I did when I was rehearsing it in my mind over the last day or so. Um, I hope that's helpful to somebody, though I can realize if you had not seen what I saw in that dream of the bones and dust, you would think, well, this is really morbid and creepy and this guy's crazy. But it didn't look as many violent vision dreams as I've had where they had really unpleasant symbolism in them. This looked very like Disney, Steven Spielberg from the from the early '90s, late '80s type of movie. Like this looked like really magical and cool. It didn't look, it didn't look morbid or anything. It actually looked really interesting and like a really awesome reality to experiment playing with. And now, keeping that in mind, I guess we're just going to jump straight to the lecture because Neville's going to talk about a lot of these things in this lecture. There's also going to be a practical element to it. Because I think there's two lectures with this title. And when I read them both, I was like, this is the one that's a little bit more grounded in some actual practical advice. And the other one just kind of just rants about Bible symbolism. But let's get into it because he's going to share some really interesting dreams experiences that some of his contemporary students had, some dreams that he had, and some practical knowledge that could be obtained from those dreams, as well as simply telling you what dreams are. The Old Testament calls upon God to awake, saying, "Rouse thyself. Why sleepest thou, O Lord? Awake. Do not cast us off forever." Having hurled himself into time and space, God is dreaming he is man and sees himself as enslaved and cast off.